witnessing people boycott these award shows that we deem so prestigious.
Come on.
And we were hearing them, express their differences about it.
Absolutely.
And I'm just so solution based where I'm like, what I just didn't understand. Like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna name these award shows, but we all know the ones that are very, held with high regard, and we've been seeing for years. And they're good. They're dope.
Yeah.
I love to see it. People look good. They get dressed up and look good, and it look big budget. Like I love that fancy stuff. I do. And we want to get to that point too as well. So the same award shows that are being boycotted. Oh, don't think I didn't study them too. I looked at them, but I definitely looked at the black award shows because that's my lane.
Yeah.
But I studied them all. But it was more of like I said, like, what's the solution? Like why we keep crying about it? Like, to be frank, like, why we keep crying about what we not getting, we not being celebrated over here? Like, going back to our earlier conversation, it's like we
Welcome to Keys to the Culture podcast. It's your hostess with the mostest, Maisha, and this is the place where we celebrate creatives, innovators, and entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things in our culture. And this is the platform where we raise them up. So, in other words, we're rooting for everybody black. So today we have a special guest. This man is so dope. He's so cool, and he's so talented. His name is Scoop Comeaux. Let me give a little introduction so I can get you guys excited. So Scoop Comeaux is a director, producer, videographer, photographer. He's a visionary. He's from Long Beach, California. Am I correct?
Yeah.
East Side. And he's the founder of Shot by Scoop Productions. And his first project was the cocoaawards, which stands for Celebrating Our Culture and Outstanding Achievements. Don't that align with the show? He is also a loving son, a brother, an uncle, and also a true friend. I add that on the end. He describes himself as a man with purpose in life. He curates entertainment and inspires people to collaborate and build wealth mentally, physically, and spiritually. What's up, Scoop?
That was dope. Thank you, Maisha.
Man, you dope. What you talking about?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Listen, I'm so excited to have you here today. And the first question I want to ask you is, when did you know that black creativity was the culture?
When did I know? Man, that's a great question. I mean, I'm looking around this room too, and it brought me back. For me, I would say it was a lot of different moments, but when I was more conscious of it was like when I start hearing like our type of music.
Yeah.
On TV in places that I didn't used to hear it, like even like our lingo being said on the news and stuff. Like I'm like, why are they talking like that?
Period.
And then I just really start slowly seeing like, yeah, we just really like our culture is very infectious, and
that's fact.
Yeah, people love it. It is what it is. But yeah, they definitely I think hip hop was. Help spread it. But I think, even before that, jazz and just food and how we do what we do is just, it's nothing else like it. You know what I mean?
That's a
it's
fact.
Nothing else like it.
I agree 100%. I feel like just our generation in general, like entertainment has really been a driving force of the culture. And I think that's kind of like the beginning of time for us. Like just black people with rhythmic music and drums and instruments. And then the way that we walk, we talk, our swag is different than anybody else. And it's copy and paste all over the world.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful thing to see it, definitely. But we want to bring back the funding to black people. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing to have you here as well because,
thank you for having me.
Listen, how did we meet?
Man.
I think it was at your award show.
No, I remember. It was at shout out to Jay Soul. That's my guy.
Oh yeah, Jay.
So his mom and her best friend, they have a show where they drink wine and do their thing.
Yes.
Talk about current events. And so they had like a live show. This was on Jefferson, I think.
Yeah.
We were on like Jefferson.
Wow.
And I had my aunts come out just to go
Come
support.
on.
He always support us. We support him.
Absolutely.
So I pulled up, and you had on a shout out my boy. You had on a Inland Empire hat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Come on,
hat.
Shannon.
Yeah. So I seen that, and I was like, so I hit up Shannon. I'm like, I think I like did a video of the whole room. And I didn't think about it at first. He actually hit me up. He said something like he seen the hat. And I looked at it. I'm like, oh, yeah. And then I think I walked up to you and showed you. And you was like, oh, yeah, I know Shannon.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And then we just got to talking. And I told you about the award show. And you were like, I was there.
Yeah.
I was like, you were. He was like, yeah, I was in the black dress supporting Christy. I think
yes.
you came to support Christy.
Shout out to Christy.
Yeah. And I was like, after I like really thought about it, because I have like a photographic memory.
Yeah.
And I kind of like scanned the room, and my mom like, oh, I see you. I remember you being
right.
there. Yeah. That's so yeah. From there, but so that's funny because yeah, you were there before that day. I walked up to you, and it just slipped my mind. You know, the day of the show, it's sometimes I'm not even there. Like I'm there, but I'm not. Yeah. So, but it was dope that we reconnected because you are a very important person, like right now in my life for sure. Just because you have like you motivate me just by seeing you do what you do, man. And I was just like, man, I was so glad we connected, and the fact that you already supported the event was just even more like, yeah, I'm supposed to know this woman.
Yes, and we've been having good vibes since.
Yeah,
I just feel like it's just been a growing friendship, and like everything you do is inspiring to me too. And the community, everybody talks about the Cocoaux Awards and Shot by Scoop. I be hearing that all over. I'll be like, oh, that's my friend, y'all. Y'all need a videographer, y'all need a photographer, and then I'll mention you. But like, it's a beautiful thing, like just in LA as creatives that we all connected.
Yeah.
And has that always been like that for you as far as like being a creative? Because, you know, I read before you said at 4 you picked up a camera. So how did that even come about? Let's talk about the origin story here.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I used to hate. I went through a period of time where I hated taking pictures, like not me taking it, but being in the picture. And I just think that comes from like my mom and the women in my family. They just always want to take a picture. Like, so growing up, you know, I'm a teenager, stuff like that. You know, feeling like we gotta take another picture. And now you and her, now you and your sister, now you. I'm like, ugh. So I used to get on my nerves. But there's a picture of me as a kid, and I remember the moment for whatever reason. I remember the moment. My sisters were there. I have 3 sisters, and I feel like they all were there. Yeah, because it's other pictures with them in it that same day. And it was, you know, the camera film where you kind of like let it dry or whatever and then see it. So I was in love with that. I was in love with that when I was a kid. Like I couldn't wait to like see it. Like I would sit there and watch it like, you know, come to life. Yeah. And so there's a picture of me holding one of those pictures, a Polaroid. Wow. And I'm like sad or something, like I'm pouting about something. But from what I remember, it was me just wanting to be in the picture with my sisters. Wow. And it wasn't my time to get in that. It was just for the girls or whatever. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I think I was kind of mad because I couldn't get in that picture. So that's what you're talking about. It was that moment where I'm like, I'm holding the picture, and I remember my connection to Polaroids till this day. And then also, it was interesting how I'm like, I think I wanted to be in that picture. But again, fast forward now, I'm going through this whole thing of like not wanting to take pictures, like, and then people, you know, in the streets asking you, hey, can you take this picture? And I used to literally tell people I'm not a photographer. Right. Not like in a rude way, but like maybe my friends or something, I'd be like, I'm not a photographer. And so when I became one, it was funny. I'm like, wow.
Full circle moment. Yeah.
Everything that I was running from, like, now I appreciate it so much. I love to be the person to take your picture. And then also, you know, being in the picture, I'm still not in the picture, because a lot of people tell me today, like, who's taking the picture of you when I'm doing events? And I'm like, it don't matter. But I say that to say, thinking back of a lot of memories and moments, I'm like, man, I wish I took pictures. There's a lot of, like, my childhood is if you see all the pictures of me that I have or my mom has, it's like gaps.
Wow.
Because it's not enough of me in the pictures. Like, and I'm just like, I mean, it's probably more now that I'm older. But yeah, it was a time I'm like, man, I don't even remember how I looked when I was 7. Because
That's
I don't have no
crazy.
pictures of that. I got like 4 and 8 and 12, like something like that. So I appreciate it way more now of capturing those moments and memories.
I can relate because my mom don't have no pictures of me either. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what happened. I have maybe a few pictures here and there. I think my grandma may have had some pictures, but we have to start really keeping those pictures because, and even the digital space, like even if we have digital pictures, God forbid something happened where the internet is down forever and we don't have no pictures of nobody.
I lost so much.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of pictures just not storing them properly. So, yeah, I mean, you can't get it back. Yeah. But I try to be more, like, careful with it now. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, I lost some good stuff. Ooh, and you don't think about it until, like, I'm looking at Nip right now. Like, I got a lot of him that I don't have no more. Ooh. I still have some, but I think about that, too. I'm like, man, if IG go down, you know, do I have a backup of these pictures? And I don't be thinking I be having them all because I just didn't store them properly when I started. But
come on now,
you know, I'm also torn between that too because I'm like I'm more of a live in the moment type of person. Yeah. So a lot of times when I was around Nip, when I'm around like you know Eric Bellinger, like I'm not really so pressed on showing that I'm here. You know what I mean? I just want to be there. Like
that's a fact.
I'm just enjoying the experience right now in this time. But
in the moment.
You know, you can kind of taint it a little bit, or for lack of a better word, when you try to like show like that you here and you know everybody don't feel comfortable. Like,
that's a fact.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
It's like, you know, but being the actual now professional photographer and cameraman, it's not frowned upon when I'm in the room doing that because it's like that's what he do.
Absolutely.
You know, so I had to make it make sense in those spaces I was in. So that's kind of how my career in photography took off because I was already in these spaces. Yeah. And now I'm bringing the camera, and it's like, oh, okay. And I'm not there like groupie mode. I'm there like really like working. Yeah. So
that makes you come here. Yes, you. Have you been struggling to stay consistent with your content? We've all been there. You told yourself you was going to post about a year ago, but you have yet to post today. But don't worry, I got you covered. Introducing the Ultimate Content Calendar Blueprint. It is a guide that will show you how to stay consistent with your content for the next 30 days and beyond. It's filled with tips, tools, and ideas to help you take your content to the next level. And guess what? It's completely free. So don't wait because it's going to go out fast. So make sure you download the Content Calendar Blueprint today. That makes sense too, and I love how you said like they automatically know that's what you do, and that comes down to like your branding too, like Shot by Scoop. And let's talk about how you started. Now, like, what was your first gig? How did you get started? Did you go through training with videography, or do you just kind of self-taught?
Yeah, definitely. I think shout out to YouTube.
Come on now,
I'm definitely an alumni.
Come on.
Because man, I wouldn't have nothing that I have today if it wasn't for me like just really studying, really going down those rabbit holes and trying to figure it out. But how it started was really out of necessity. I was working at the airport, lost my job. And it was at a time I had moved up to supervisor, everything.
Come on.
Yeah, they pulled the rug from under me. And I had money saved up because I think at the time I was trying to get a car or something. I was trying to get something. And I had money saved up. And so I thought about it like, man, okay, I got this money. You know, I can, you know, pay my bills a little bit and, you know, until I get another job. I had enough for that.
Absolutely.
But I also was just like, it just made me feel like, man, like, this is the first time I ever, like, moved up to from what I remember, I don't think I ever was like a supervisor or nothing like that. So I felt good about that. And then I was like building my credit at the time, just learning how to do all of that. So I felt like, okay, I'm on a roll right here. And then boom. So.
And what year was this?
2016.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, about 2016 for sure. Yeah. So that happens, and I'm like, all right. Actually, maybe it was before that. I could probably have the timeline off, but it was between like 14 and 16 for sure. 2014, 16. But so I'm like, all right, that feeling of not being able to, control your destiny in a sense, like it bothered me at this. I'm like, wow, like how could they just, off some nonsense too? Like it really was like I really seen how they played me. I'm like, that's crazy, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to feel that ever again. And granted, I work today, you know what I mean, but the way I think now about going into a job is completely different. I think it helps me dodge those type of things. And I have a job where they can't just do that. We got union and all that type of stuff. But besides that, though, it just made me think, like, I need to invest in myself.
Absolutely.
I need to stop playing. I know I'm talented because I do music, too. And at that time, I was doing music. Yeah. I had, I was on tour with Snoop around that time, too. So it was like, I had that going on, too. And it was just like, all right, I got to figure out something. I have something here. I got motion. But I need to capitalize some type of way or figure out how to really manage this. So I just went and I don't even know. Honestly, I got a camera and a drone at the same time. Like I went to Fry's and got a discounted like camera and a drone. And the idea was to have more visuals, more music videos, stuff like that for my music career. Because I'm like, that's where we headed right now. Everything is, they want to see it. So I'm like, I need more music videos or just more content, period. And so I'm like, let me at least get the tools for that. I don't know who's going to shoot this for me. Maybe some things I can do myself, but let me just get that. And I had it. And like I said, I didn't really have nobody to like control the drone for me. So I just started playing around with it myself. YouTube, finding out, ISO and shutter and all these things you need to know about, like how to really get your settings together to take a picture. And then the drone was just kind of like simple. But I brought to answer your question about the first event, really it wasn't even paid. It was for my sister. She turned like 40 or something. And nobody knew what I was doing yet. They didn't know I was like a photographer or nothing yet. I just had it. I was taking pictures of like my friends and stuff like that. Like till this day, if you go on my Instagram to the very first picture, it's of my homie Tiny Sag. Shout out to my bro. He was just, what was he doing? I think we were just in the studio. We recorded music. He went on tour with me with Snoop too.
Wow.
So So I think we was just in the studio. I was taking pictures, just practicing. And then like the next picture probably is like my barber. And everybody know my bar. A lot of people go to him in the city. So I took a picture of him, just lifestyle shots or whatever. But I went to my sister's party, brought the drone out. They was turned up for it. Like they was loving it. Like, oh, he got the drone, because they thinking like she hired a photographer or something. Not knowing, she didn't even know I was bringing that. I'm like, nah, I just got my camera, my drone. So I did that and put a little video together for her.
That's dope.
And but I always did stuff like that growing up, kind of to go back. I always used to have like my laptop around and doing like just videos with my homies.
That's crazy.
So that was already easy for me to do, chop up a video and edit and all of that. But then people I knew that I deleted everything on my Instagram of my like personal life and start putting those pictures. From then on, I didn't want to post a picture of like just me and my phone. Like it was all pictures from my camera, because I was I want people to look at it and take it serious. And that's what started to happen. And they start reaching out. Friends were like, hey, I got this brand. Can you take pictures? How much you charge? I didn't even know what to charge or how to charge. So I was doing a lot for free. The first year, a lot for free, just moving around to different events. Just to build up the catalog, the pictures. Again, I was in these spaces, so they see me taking pictures of celebrities, and they they think I'm worth, the value look like. So I'm like, okay, let me try to put a price on it. I'm like $100. And once they started doing that, I'm like, oh, okay. And I never really wanted to up my price until I upped my value.
I love that.
Yeah, I really just wanted to like know what I was doing, get more equipment, and then that's when I got to a place where I, stood on my pricing and was like, yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Because it's what it takes for me to get it done.
Crazy. That's a crazy story getting started because it just, we all go to YouTube University because I've done it myself. And like, even with your camera, like what was like the camera you bought that you got like the first time? And then the type of drone that you got, because someone's watching and want to be a videographer and don't know where to start. So let's start with the camera.
I have that camera right now, and it's still.
Come on.
It's a Canon Rebel TS. T6. And then the drone was a Phantom 3, Phantom Pro 3, if I'm not mistaken. And it broke on me too. It broke on me at Nip was having a what was he having, like a block party? He was doing something at the store. I think maybe they was cutting the ribbon. With Big Boy was there. I got pictures of that on my Instagram. And I brought my drone out, and for some reason the camera was like stuck. It like the gimbal, it wouldn't like move how it's supposed to move. And so I'm in my car like, man, and I'm thinking like maybe this is a sign, like don't bring your drone out or whatever. I brought it out over there before, but yeah, so then I tried to find like the piece I needed to fix it. Really, I ended up breaking it more, and then I was just like over. I couldn't find nobody. Like it's hard with certain brands to find the people who fix it or the tools that you need or the parts. That's what it was. I couldn't find the part too because I could have really did it myself, but they didn't sell this particular part that I needed nowhere. So I haven't done the drone in a while, but yeah, Phantom and a Canon.
Does it matter what type of camera you have when you first starting out?
No.
It's the photographer?
It's all about the photographer, really. I mean, you're going to get, there's differences for sure, but ask any photographer, is more so about you. Like, I don't even be caring. Like I said, I still have that camera, and I don't mind bringing it out and using it. Some people, want to have this and that and the red and the mirrorless. That's great. Those do what they supposed to do. But starting out, don't even just get a camera, man, and figure out, like I said, what the ISO means, the shutter speed. You want to, because there's a feature, there's a setting where you can do automatic. You can take pictures automatic, and it's going to use like a auto setting for the room, but it's a little frowned upon, and I didn't even know because somebody tried to ask me. They were like, let me see what you on, what setting you on, and I was on manual, and they was like, oh, okay, but I didn't know that was a big deal. I just was like,
right, you just like, I'm just shooting.
But then I found out afterwards, you get more respect if you really going in there and doing the settings yourself.
Customize it.
So, but that's what's going to make you better. That's how you're going to learn. And your picture's still going to be different, though, than somebody else. You know what I mean? It's about what you see and how you see it. So
and about your brand, too, you utilize social media to help you get the word out. And that help you get customers, friends are aware of, what you do. But when it came to the price point, you said that was something you didn't know initially off the bat. So someone starting out, is there a particular price point they should be starting at? Because a lot of times when you have a service, people don't want to pay you. And you get people that you even know be trying to get you down on your price. Oh, I can't do it for $100. Well, can you do it for $50 or something? How do you deal with those kind of pushbacks on prices, and where would they begin?
So, at the beginning, I felt I think I started at $100. Just I wasn't even doing it by the hour and stuff like that. It was more flat rate until I start learning there. So I have a minimum too. It's so for me, if let's say it's a party, so you learn this along the way. So if it's an event. That's the event is at least 4 hours. Most people even it's going to be at least 4 hours. So my thing is, I started to realize, okay, if let's say it's in Hollywood, I live in Long Beach. It's going to take me an hour to to get. So my thing is, I'm not gonna go somewhere that's gonna take me an hour to only be there for 2 hours. No, that's not for me. So I just spent 4 hours and only got paid for two. So my thing is like, okay, if you want to book me for an event, I'm gonna have a minimum of like 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours. Like that's gonna be my minimum, time. So that that equals the money too. So depending on what type of event it is, or whatever, that the money, the price is gonna fluctuate because some things is not as like a wedding is more pressure, and I noticed from doing the weddings, it's like,
that's a fact.
You got the mom in your ear or a baby shower, like it's always somebody like who's kind of like,
you right.
Make sure you get this, make sure you get so yeah. So it's like it's way more versus let's say, I don't know, just something else that's more like me picking the shots versus being told like, hey, can you get this, can you get that? So that if I know what I'm getting into, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be, and then even like turnaround time with the pictures if they need it at a certain time. So all those things you start realizing like, okay. But overall, it's not like I have 10 different price points. Yeah. I figured out how to narrow it all down. Like I'm either doing an event, and the events fall under, baby shower falls under event, birthday, weddings, like those are like events to me. Yeah. And then like headshots, I start getting into that, dealing with a lot of business people. So it's like that made sense for me. But that's a different thing. But that's still to me 2 hour minimum. Yeah, because definitely. Like I know what you gonna want, maybe 2 outfits, stuff like that. So you start figuring those things out, and you just stand on it. So the pushback, I may get that still. Like the last time I got that, a young lady wanted to do like a choreography. She wanted me to film her choreography class. Okay. So she was teaching this dance routine, and she had a budget, and I'm like, okay. And then because she told me where it was at too, and I'm like, all right. But the relationship I have, we still have play favoritism, I guess you call it. We still have our people who was like, okay, I'll do it for you because so she was definitely, because she was talking to me about it for a long time, and I know what she did, and she's great at it. And I was like, all right, I got you. But in those moments, it's like, that's I think I told her too. I'm like, I got you this time. You know what I mean? But next time, we have a rapport enough for me to like, I'll hold you down this time for sure. Yeah. But this is normally what it is, and so it don't have to be a big thing. And that's with somebody that I know. If it's somebody that I don't know as a referral, no disrespect, but I'm just, this is my price. A lot of people go ghost after that anyway. Yeah, but that's true. If it is like, hey, can we do this and do that? Then I'll definitely sit there and negotiate. But I'm not going to like go out my way to try to make it work. Like you gotta, you coming to me, you coming to me. So this is what it is. And I always, this is one thing I learned too, that I feel like I'm proud that God gave me this, because I'm like, for the longest, I could have been doing this. But now when it comes to those moments, guess what? I know all these photographers, and I know people coming up. Come on. Look, it probably doesn't work for me, but I have somebody that'll still do great work, probably around your budget. You know what I mean? And I'll reach out to people, or I'll go on Instagram, hey, need a photographer this day, paid gig, and people will hit me up. And now I'm, opportunities for other people, and because they on the come up, so they probably don't know what to charge. They probably not charging nothing, but now I just gave them an opportunity for that. That's fact. So that helps out too. That's how I kind of work with that. Like, hey, maybe it don't work for me, but I have somebody I can,
And I can hear in there. That's kind of like a networking aspect too, because I mean I do that all the time. Yeah. Like if it's not my ministry with something, I'll be like, oh, but my friend does this. And, she'll work with you X, Y, and Z, or I'll have a conversation with them, try to set some things up. But it's really about networking and, like, really finding people that that do good work and you can vouch for them. Because that'll make the difference, y'all. That really will make a difference, especially when it comes to content in general. I mean, you can shoot stuff on your phone, but if you want a professional to come and help you, like, getting, like, that person to say, you know what, but this person is good and can help you with this. That really makes a world of a difference. So how is your path to like networking with people within your industry has been?
the camera did that for me. I'm telling you, like it opened me up to this whole network of people that I'm like, where have y'all been all my life? Like, but see, you gotta understand, like with me, transitioning from music to photography, it was also like a spiritual transition too, because the music, I feel like that, and it was I was expressing what I was going through and who I was at the time, and I'm not that person anymore. You get what I'm saying? So that it was like a spiritual transition too, because we come from the streets and so I played around in the streets, and once I picked up the camera and I was going to all these places, I'm like, okay, I can't be going to all these places because I'm chasing the bag, but it's like I gotta remember, like, I still am who I am. You know what I mean? So,
come on.
So it's like, all right, I gotta what's the word they use? Not even just like it's rebranding, but it was also what's that word for when you, it's gonna come to me. But anyways, I was like, I'm moving around like this. I gotta come off a different, give off a different energy.
Yeah.
So when I did that, I started attracting that energy, and I started meeting people like, MJ from, Support
Shout
the Homies, Star G with Favorite Fridays. And I seen what they had going on and the people who supported them. I'm like, wow, like, I love this, And then I still had people that I, grew up with who still was, moving and learning too, how to do different things. And we helping each other figure things out. Like a friend of mine, one of my closest homeboys, he come from the same situation as me, even worse, really. But he always done, shout out to Walter Devine. This is my camera. Shout out to Walt, because he's an R&B singer. And so me having a camera, it's like, okay, well, let's try to get some content out for you, whatever the case may be. So, and he actually was the guy who brought me and how I was introduced to Eric Bellinger, because that kind of took me to another level too, being around his camp. But I met him through Walt.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, he brought me around, and slowly but surely I started bringing my camera. At first I didn't, because again, I didn't want to like
getting acclimated.
Yeah, because that he has people to do that. So it's like, who is this guy? Like, so we built a rapport, and then so it was just really that camera, man. They don't turn me away. I was already getting into places, like, if the people who really know me, they used to always be surprised, like, how did Scoop get in here? Like, but that camera, I'm telling you, they think, and you just gotta act like you belong.
Hello.
So I walk around and I got my camera, and the security or whoever, they just let me through. And I'm like, oh, this camera. So that helped a lot too with the networking, and just the world that we live in today is very big on, it's very Instagram driven. It's very content driven. So who doesn't want their picture taken? If you have a professional camera, these phones take great pictures.
Absolutely.
But it's something about somebody with a Canon or a Sony with this external light. It just comes off as like, oh, I'm famous type. I'm just using that as an example, but like, people feel like that, like that flash. They feel like, and I love making people feel that way. So that's when I start really like diving into more of this, not just for the bag. I have a passion for this because I love, seeing how people feel about when they see themselves looking, how they looking, Absolutely. I love catching people in the moment too. And they love seeing that. So, yeah, it was just a natural thing to just meet people who were like-minded. And then I just, I slowly started feeding them different things that I did. You mentioned the cocoaawards. Yeah. So I had to start showing people like, okay, because I ain't going to lie, I did start feeling like people it was just like, oh, yeah, where your camera at? Where your camera at? When I go somewhere, where your camera at? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was the homie. Like, I thought I came to chill. I thought y'all mess with me outside of this too, like outside of the camera. So I was like, it was hard for me, but I'm like, I'm just not going to bring my. I wanted to have my camera, but I'm like, I I'm spoiling people with this.
Yeah.
To where like that's all they recognize me for. Like, so when they see me, they're like, "Where your camera at?" Like, bro, I'm not just a hold on. But that was a lot of ego too. But it was like more of like, okay, I'm more than that though, and I need people to see that.
Absolutely.
So I had to start like intentionally not taking pictures and not bringing my camera and start talking about what else I had going on, you know. And then even with the music, I started rapping again on Instagram, and they were like, "Oh, you rap now?" Like,
I've been doing this.
You only knew. So
exactly. You're
it's
creative.
A lot. It's a lot that I'll be trying to get off, and it's hard for me to get put in a box. Like, I'm claustrophobic. You can't.
Come on.
I don't like that. So
Get
once
out
I
the
start
box,
feeling
man.
like, oh, you the camera guy, hold on.
Right.
Like, what was the ones I was producer, creative?
Yep.
Like, come on. So, you know, but that's my challenge, to get more creative at figuring out how to do that. And I think the platform with the KocoAwards, that platform helps me express all those things.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, I can pretty much do everything that I do on that stage.
Yeah.
Or in that room.
What is the purpose behind the KocoAwards?
Man, we were witnessing people boycott these award shows that we deem so prestigious.
Come on.
And we were hearing them, you know, express their differences about it.
Absolutely.
And I'm just so solution based, where I'm like, what? I just didn't understand. Like, okay, I get it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna name these award shows, but we all know the ones that are very, you know, held with high regard, and we've been seeing for years. And they're good. They're dope.
Yeah.
I love to see it. People look good. They get dressed up and look good, and it look big budget. Like, I love that fancy stuff. I do. And you know, we want to get to that point too as well. So the same award shows that are being boycotted. Oh, don't think I didn't study them too. I looked at them, but I definitely looked at the black award shows because that's, you know, my lane.
Yeah.
But I studied them all. But it was more of like I said, like, what's the solution? Like, why we keep crying about it? Like, to be frank, like, why we keep crying about what we not getting, we not being celebrated over here? Like, going back to our earlier conversation, it's like we are the culture. Like, this is us. Everything that's going on, like, most of it is really influenced by us and what we do. We just we're figuring out how to own it now.
Absolutely.
That IP and those, you know, those contracts got to change, and we got to figure out how to, you know, make it make sense for us in the long run. But so I'm just like, okay, who's doing something about it? I seen what Steve Harvey did with the Hoodie Awards. Yes. I don't know why it stopped. I tried to look that up and like, what happened to this?
Yeah.
I studied the BET Awards. I studied the NAACP with the Image Awards. That's one where I felt like, yeah, this is what I'm looking towards. Like, we're trying to do something like that. But yeah, it was more so that it's like, why we don't feel like that's a big award, you know, to be, you know, like, so it's a little bit about us too. It's like, okay, when we do build our own, you know, how do we take care of it? Like,
Absolutely.
do y'all treat it the same way when y'all go to the other award shows? Like, or do y'all want all the homies to get in, and, you know, so like that type of stuff. So, and that's just real quick segue. Like, I'm also working on a documentary, and I want to spark those type of conversations. But I think we talked about that off camera before.
Yes.
But yeah, so it was that. It was like, man, let's just build our own. So not only that, but I'm like, what about the person who their brand is taking off, but maybe they have 500 followers, so it don't look like they doing nothing. But I see them moving around with my camera, seeing what people do and how they do it. I'm like, yo, like, this man or woman, like, they putting their all into this. They putting their blood, sweat, and tears. And I'm like, this should be honored and appreciated too, and celebrated. Like,
yes,
you know. So my whole goal was like, let's celebrate. It's a celebration of culture and outstanding achievement. So it's like, yeah, we want to celebrate the culture. We want to be us. I want y'all to come and feel free to you know, we gonna turn up.
Yeah, we
But we definitely gonna handle business, and we're gonna talk about how we need to, you know, push our agenda to really start building generational wealth and getting to the point that these other, communities are in, because I'm not, I don't frown upon that. I look at it and get inspired, like, wow, like, we from Long Beach. There's Cambodian town. Let's just put it out there. There's a Cambodian town. And if you grew up in Long Beach, I'm from the West and the East. Like, I've been on the East a lot. I went to Poly. So
come on now.
that's Cambodian town, low key. So it's like,
it is.
Yeah, shout out to Poly, 08, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, man, you go around and you see these communities, like, you don't think about it when you're younger, but now it's like, wow, they really, like, got it going, like, generationally. Like, and I'm like, okay, it can be done. Let's learn from how they doing it, And again, that goes into a deeper conversation. I get that we're not funded as much and those type of things, but okay, let's have those conversations, right? So the Cocoa Awards is let me bring you in. This is us. This is how we get out. But we want to take care of business. So it's like, let's not complain about what other award shows or other communities are doing. Let's figure out how we can do it, period. Like, let's come to a solution. So it's really a platform for that.
Yeah. And I love that too, because I've had these conversations. I think we had these conversations before. I think that they put more value on the shows that are not our shows that we take ownership for. And even, a lot of the networks that we have now, even the Black networks that we have, are not owned by us no more.
Yeah.
So we're not the creative directors. We're not the person in the room speaking up for Black issues, Black topics, and the culture in a whole. And I think we have to get back into that driving seat of creative director, ideas. Because we can speak to us directly. We know our language. We know how to talk to us. We know what's important to us. And I think the Cocoa Awards really encompass all of that. And then also uplifting and highlighting people who are doing amazing things. Yeah. But we have to start holding our own to a higher regard.
Yes.
And I feel like it's kind of lost some way. I don't know when it started losing the value, because I remember growing up, I couldn't wait to watch the BET Awards.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it was a different vibe.
I thought about that too. Like,
energy.
Definitely was like, I was very excited for that. I was very excited. But I mean, I don't know. No knock to the artists today. Yeah. But it hasn't compared. Yeah, it hasn't compared to that Bow Wow era.
Listen.
Like, let's.
That. Oh my God.
People know, and I'm glad that I hear more and more people speak up for Bow Wow, because
now
stop playing.
Please stop playing. Shout out to Bow Wow. Need you on the show. Shout out to Bow Wow, because he was so important for the culture, especially for young. I think he's the reason why I rap. Was probably about 10.
I was 10. He was 13 when Where Dog came out. But he was like 5 when he was on Arsenio Hall show.
Yes, he was with Snoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be around Snoop. Yeah. And before he was with Jermaine Dupri, he made a great impact. He was Mr. 106 in Park. Yes. I mean, this young man was dropping hits back to back to back. People play with him a little too much.
They do. I mean, he see, my thing is like, okay, because you have social media now, like we see more of the person.
Yes.
And we hear about the backstory, so that kind of takes away from that mystique that used to be.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
There
so
you go.
So now we kind of like, oh, so-and-so a clown. Like, but it's like, okay, whatever. Like, shout out Jermaine Dupri too, because Jermaine is the GOAT.
Come on, Jermaine.
Dupri is the reason for all of that. Crisscross, like, that's what got me into music and hip hop. Crisscross to Bow Wow. Yeah. But it was just that time. B2K, like Chris Brown was coming up. Man, they came to Poly. Yeah. I'm like, man, it was that energy was just different during that time.
I think music was different though. Yeah. Just in general, like entertainment as a whole. I think even with television, things started taking a shift when it really got into reality TV.
Yes.
Because before, I think one of the first reality shows I watched was The Real World on MTV. Yeah. And then that was cool. Like, I used to watch that. It was exciting. Boom. But you didn't have like 50 other reality shows. You only had like a handful. And then it started taking off after it started becoming a thing. And then we have these reality shows, quote unquote, because they ain't reality.
Right.
Then it became this whole machine. And I think with music, it kind of became a machine too, because everything is so accessible. So the music industry is oversaturated. There's a billion rappers, a billion singers, and then now everything is at your touch. Technology is everything. It's a beautiful thing that we can touch billions of people now online, but at the same time, the artist development ain't there.
No.
The quality of music not there.
Yeah.
The quality of entertainment is not there. So how can we, as Black people, take that ownership back and start to redevelop what it means to be an entertainer, an artist, and a creative?
It's the narrative. That's another thing about the Cocoaawards. Anything that I'm a part of is to continue to add to a narrative that we need to change. Our culture is very dominant in the world right now, but it's also like, I feel like we're not highlighting. I think we're highlighting way more of the toxic things that are, it's true, it's real, it happens. But let's really be honest. Like, okay, if you want to do great things, or if you want to become famous, whatever you want to aspire to do and become, I'm pretty sure you want to get to a point where you don't have to hear sirens outside your house all the time, or deal with domestic violence in your house or next door. Like, you don't want to be in these spaces. Whoever in the projects, they going to hold it down and represent where they from, but they don't want to be like, wow, you don't want to be there.
Nobody
People
does.
who, did time, like, they get praised and like, oh, so-and-so, but I know people who did real time, and they not out here. They out here right now, and they not celebrating. They not talking about. They like that. That's nowhere to be.
No, it's not.
I don't feel like the man because of that. Like, but we look at it like that. Like, why when people go to jail, they blow up, their music blow up, or when they get killed, their music blow up. Like, so it's this programming. It's this back to media. Like, that's what media. It's a program.
It is.
So you kind of got to get out the matrix, so to speak, and not to get too deep, but it is that deep because it's really a mental thing. You have to understand what's happening, and if you think like, because see, we getting distracted by the glitz and glamour, the bag, like we getting distracted by that, but we don't understand that we're being used to push this narrative. And again, whether or not it's real life, because I know it's real. I know we go through these things, but I know that we don't want to stay there. So again, once I start meeting individuals who are kind of like going on that spiritual journey, like right next to me, my transition out of just thinking that, oh, this is all I got, like this is who I am, this is where I'm from, and I got to represent this to the fullest, not realizing that I can be whoever I want to be. Starting today, I can say, you know what? I know who y'all think I am, but let me be the one to tell you, and I can be intentional about that. So I think if we all collectively do that, like, okay, hey, what do we want people to really focus on when it comes to our culture? Like, we already know the all right, cool, but like you said, why aren't we need to get back in these other positions, producer, creative director, and it's because that's not being, they're not getting awards for that. You know what I mean? So it's like, if all I see is athlete, artist, like, big time drug dealer, like that's all I'm seeing as being like successful, then it's kind of like you got to do that, or you think you got to do that, or that's the only way to get your mom out the hood and all of that. And it's corny to try to do something else, but it's really not. Like, so that's who I want to highlight, those people behind the scenes. That's what photography did for me. It brought me behind the scenes more of like, oh, this is where the real work is going on. And again, back to media, like, it's controlling the narrative. So we have to, and shout out to you, because that's what you're doing. You're putting out content that's highlighting things that I feel like should be highlighted more. More important, like, let's talk about this. Let's not. We didn't talk once about nothing, in my opinion, nothing like surface level, nothing negative, nothing like. So You didn't talk. You asked me about girls or not, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
let's stay focused. Like,
Right.
But we
We
can
on a
talk about
mission.
that. But it's
Yeah.
like, let's have these conversations. So the
Yeah.
more and more we put this content out, and people, because that's what I look at. I watch, Earn Your Leisure,
Yes.
and I'm like, wow, like, I'm glad I get to see this. We would never have. I feel like you meeting billionaires that they talking to. It's like we have never known who these people were, but they sitting
Absolutely.
down with them now. We like, wow, okay, Robert Johnson's different people. Like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
for sure. But then I also watch Back on Fig.
Yeah.
And I get my little dose of ghetto,
Right.
because
It's a
it
balance.
connects to me. Yeah, but still from that though, I'm learning like, okay, you can really be yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And get to where you're trying to go. But just understand you do have, with these platforms, with these cameras, you do have a responsibility. Like, you just do.
Yeah. And I thank you for, giving my flowers on that too, because that's pretty much the premise of the show. I wanted to show other people who are doing different things and making money. Like the creator economy in general, there's so many things that y'all can do. Like y'all really do not understand. And it's not just you're in front of the camera, the people behind the camera, the people who are writing, producing, creative director, the stylist, the makeup artist, the hairstylist. Like there's so much, and people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars just doing that, and I think a lot of times we see the highlights of people's life on social media and we don't really see what's going on behind it. And I want to really I want to segue a bit about the struggles when it comes to being a creative, being an artist, and really going for your dreams. And what obstacles have you faced that, were difficult for you before you can reach a level where you like, I'm successful, I made it kind of situation?
It's so much trial and error.
Yeah.
It's so much, you betting on yourself, you investing in yourself, and you're going into the unknown. So even though it's like it's an investment, but it's also debt. Because let's just be honest, it's like you want the return, but you don't all the way have it planned out of how it's going to come back. So you learn how to plan it to where it does. That's when you put it on a system. That's been my thing. I read a book by John C. Maxwell. What was it? The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, I believe it was.
Gotta get that.
And it was stressing about systems, having systems in place, and basically another word for system is like autopilot.
Yeah.
You wanna have your business or whatever you do, you wanna have it flow so seamless that it's just, that's when we going into residual income and like passive income, like, so to get to that point, I think is what most of us really want, like where we're not working as much for crumbs, really. We want that to flip. We want to work less, or stress less at least, and but still be racking up what we need. But I also just heard with the Shark Tank guy, Damon John. He was on Art Your Leisure just recently, and he said rich people talk about how much money they spent, wealthy people talk about how much money they gave away. And when I think about like what we do, we're always giving. We're very giving, and that's true wealth. So you wanna get your system in place, and you wanna get your money up, but what is it really for? It's a tool. We're trying to create experiences. That's what it really comes down to. When people leave us on this earth, we remember those moments. That's all we can take with us, really. That's all we have when they're gone. So I start thinking about that. I'm like, I'm really, doing these things to have a experience, to create a space for memorable moments. Ooh, what I mean? And that's legacy, because people going to see this. When my nieces and nephews, I think about them when I'm sitting in these seats. Like, but the struggle is maxing my credit card out for the first CocoaaWards, and again, this is all after losing my job, becoming a photographer. So remember, I was building my credit, but now I'm like, this all I got really.
Yeah,
But I
gotta
need
use
to,
it.
I felt so passionate about it. I'm like, okay, I just need to get this show. Let me just have the show so people can see what's going on. And then,
Yeah.
hopefully it gets easier every year. And it definitely
Yes.
has. I'm getting wiser. And it's not always like going broke for it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like,
yeah.
okay, now I have money allocated for certain things. It's like you think smarter going into it every year. Like I really technically have a year to plan it out, but I was doing it in 2-3 months.
Woo.
Because
Okay.
for some reason, like I just work that way. Like crunch time, I get stuff done, but
Yeah.
it's not as efficient when you do it that way.
Yeah.
So it's a struggle of my procrastination mixed with my the habits that I gotta change, my spending habits. It's like you really gotta like take this serious. And this is the thing about being an entrepreneur. Again, like I said earlier, I still have a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
But I always tell myself, like, obviously I want to replace that
Yeah.
with what I got going on and live off of that. But when you do that, you got to understand that's not freedom in the sense of like, because everybody I think looks at it like, oh, I can work when I want to go to work, do this when I want. But it's like, actually, now you got to do way more around the clock.
Yes.
Because when you got a job, you're not doing payroll. No, you just
Right.
punching in your time and then they pay. Imagine if you you're responsible for
every aspect of your business.
So it's more work, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you really gotta know what you're getting yourself into and know whether or not you built for it. And I have to have those conversations with myself, like, man, like, cause I'm so much of a team player that like, I just want to play my position and like, but I don't want to be responsible for everything because that's like, man, I ain't got time for all of that.
Right.
But again, when you want to control the narrative, make sure the integrity of your brand is,
Yes.
intact.
Say that again.
You have to have your hands in it. So whatever I gotta figure out, I'm gonna figure it out, and then I delegate things to people who I, feel like you gotta know their strengths and weaknesses, the people around you. Because I used to try to force things on my homies, and they don't care about that.
Like, it's not their passion.
It's not, and I didn't realize that until I started feeling like disappointed, like, wow, they not supporting me. Like, no, that's just not their strengths.
Yeah,
and you gotta see that, and you gotta let people, play to their strengths.
Absolutely.
So, it's all those things. It's the money aspect. It's the trusting the people around you to do their part. Like, it's tough, but I wouldn't trade it because this is what I want. You gotta really like sit down and say, what do you want to do with your life? This is what I did. And I wrote it out, and it's like, okay, I'm so big on like, and hopefully nobody like be like, no, you said this and you didn't do it. But trust me, I beat myself up when I don't do what I say I'm going to do. I'm very big on that. So when I set myself down and said, this is what I want to do in my life, and this is why my why, it's like I can't turn back from that. Like me personally, I can't just be like, nah, you know what, I'm cool. It's too much work. Like, to me, I'm not punking out on myself. Nah.
Yeah, and I love that you said your why. Shout out to Simon Sinek for finding your why, because that's so important, which is like your purpose behind doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And then you kind of schedule out how I'm going to get there. Yeah. And, and it's entrepreneurship is not easy. And I think people think it's so easy, but it is not. Like, it's really, it's not. It's really, it's a full-time commitment that you have to have because you're responsible for paying yourself. So you got to go out there and get the clients. You got to go out there and get the sales. Like, it's really important that you're doing that because if not, you ain't going to eat. Unless somebody else taking care of you, you living scot-free. But if you got rent, you got bills you got to pay, it's really on you to show up. And then if you have employees, you got to show up for them. And that's what these big corporations have built from the beginning. They have a system that you mentioned. Yep. There's a process in the way they do things. And how they do it is set up automatically so they can pay people on time. They can hire people, the right people. They put the right people in place. But you have to do that as an entrepreneur as well. You have to set up your life the way these corporations doing it. Because when you show up for them, if you ain't working, you ain't getting paid. Oh, you're not gonna do this? Okay. So put in your 2 weeks notice, or are we gonna fire you? You don't come in, don't clock in, okay? Yeah. So that happens a lot with people, and we all face so many challenges. So like for me, I'd maxed my credit card out a couple times. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like on a mission to get clients, and it can be hard.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's well worth it though.
Yeah, it's not in vain. It comes back. You just don't necessarily always know when or in what form. Mm-hmm. But it comes back, and that's what I hold on to outside of, it's also my why, but it's because you got to remind yourself too of your why. Like I have it written down, and I'll be like, okay, let me read what like, because you gotta, when you in those moments where you just kind of want to like just screw it for a minute, like just like I'm like, man, you know what I mean? Because I have a lot of those moments, and it's like
I've done it.
It's like what are you? That's because I feel like even just us being here, like we standing on the shoulders of like our ancestors, like who didn't give up. So like, come on, I just can't.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think about that too sometimes. I just feel like I have to sit myself down because sometimes you get a little comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like I'm doing good. Like I got this really good paying client. I'm chilling right now. But no, like you really want this to grow. You want it to be a brand that's going to surpass you after you're gone, and you can pass it down to your kids. And I love the fact that you mentioned generational wealth too, because I'm all about generational wealth and really helping the community. So let's talk about your connection to your community and how important that is to you.
Very important, man. Like, I think you are who you are based on where you're from. Yeah. And who raised you, who taught you those things. But the thing, like I told you earlier, once I start meeting this whole network of people that I didn't, and it's really more so like they were from LA. Yeah. Like I'm from Long Beach, and we all know how it is out here. It's like,
I know what you mean.
We 15 minutes away, but it's a different world. Like I know people from Inglewood, LA, and they like, man, I never really go to Long Beach, or I've never been to Long Beach. I'm like, really?
Exactly.
But it could be like that. Mm-hmm. So it was so many places I was finding out about, like in LA. I'm just like, okay, it's cool out here. And then, the people that I was meeting. So, I'm meeting people, and I say all that to say, like, because when you think of community, it's not like just your city or your town where you're at. You know what I mean? That can really just be, it's a group of people with the same ideas and those type of things. That can be a community. That is a community. Mm-hmm. And so my community, I would say, outside of, Long Beach, and because and I have to say this too, because going to different places in LA, Inglewood, I really wish, especially Inglewood, I'm like, man, I wish we had like areas like this in Long Beach. I don't feel like we have like area. Like, what would you say? Is there a street where it's like, oh, you're gonna get our people over here, and like this the street we go on, and when you think about like Inglewood, like Market Street,
exactly,
Manchester, like it's a lot of black business all over the Crenshaw, and we don't really the Mark Park. We don't have that in Long Beach. I don't feel like nowhere really.
I think, back
the closest
in the day,
is like 4th Street, and that's just because Shades of Africa.
Because Shades of Africa is down there. Shout out to Shades of Africa.
Yeah.
I remember when I was growing up, like the only black thing we really did in Long Beach was have the MLK parade. Yeah. And then we go to Kings Park. I used to always go to Kings Park. And we had the Boys and Girls Club and everything
VIP
over there.
Records, which
VIP,
is,
you know what I'm saying? Then we had the Fish Market used to be on the corner on PCH, which is gone now.
Exactly.
So it's like most of the black businesses in Long Beach feel like they're just non-existent. Like I don't know. Like I feel like even the programs in Long Beach is not there. There's no programs for people of color. And when I say people of color, I try to say everybody, but specifically black people, there's nothing specifically for black people in the city of Long Beach. And we really want to change that. Shout out to my brother, Robert. He's actually working on a nonprofit, and he got some things coming to the city of Long Beach specifically. And then I'm going to be helping him with a couple of things, but we don't have to do that. I mean, we can start something in Long Beach.
We have to because I really feel like, because I start feeling like, investing in those areas, and I'm like, man, like,
I ain't
I'm
gonna
from
lie
Long
to
Beach
you.
though, like I
working on my media studio, and I've been looking at places in LA because that's where we are. I feel like there's a huge community of Black people, like-minded individuals in the city of LA. Yeah. But when I look at Long Beach, I don't see that. It's a disconnect there.
Yeah. So it's like, that's kind of like what we do as entrepreneurs. We solve problems. Like we find where the problem is and we try to solve it. But we look at that and we like, wow, that's going to be a big task. But because I have a dream that, you know, something I want to do downtown Long Beach. And man, if I, you know, I hope it will. This is going to last forever. This video. Yes. When I want to say it, but then I don't want to say it right now. Just know that because I want to be more intelligent about how I say it. So when I find the right words to say it, I will say it on camera. Yes. But it's something that I'm dreaming of downtown Long Beach. Sir. But I can tell you off camera for sure. But to answer your question, like what I feel like my responsibility is to my community, that's the Long Beach side of it. But as far as the people I'm around, my network of like-minded individuals, that community, that was my thing. I'm walking around, I'm going around with the camera, and I was starting to feel like, I'm just like the cameraman. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I love that I can be that for everybody because they need promotion for their brands and stuff. And I'm like that. I'm the one who's creating that content, helping them create that content. So I know my role in that, but then I'm like, I know I can give so much more. Yes. That's what the Cocoaawards is about. Beautiful. So I feel like that's my position. It's like, because people actually do talk to me more about it now. They like, man, like, you know, you should have an award for this, or do you have an award for that? Like, how can I? Yeah. And I'm like, I love that people want to be involved or figure out, like, you know, how to help me or how they can win one. You know what I mean? And so I think that's just where I position myself. It's like I'm the guy you go to when you want to learn about who's doing what. Yeah. Because I know somebody doing everything. Yeah. Like when I think about it, I think we all do though. Like we know somebody that do. You talked about all those positions, hair, makeup, stylist. Like, you know, I have people like in my direct inner circle who do all those things. Yes. And some of them are family. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, we have all we need right here. So the other part of it is what our mantra is, and our slogan is collaboration over competition. Yes. Because I may know 5 people that do hair and makeup, but that don't mean it's less opportunity for them. Everybody because they all can we need and even my events, I switch it up every year. It's not always the same chef or you know, like we try to switch things up to give people opportunities. I love but we also still like to, and I'm working on this. I really with social media, like I need somebody to do that for me. I like it's hard for me. It's really hard. Nah, for real. Like it's hard for me to be consistent on there. It's hard for me because what I really want to do is from year one, and I do it every now and then, but it's not enough. But I see like what Paris Nicole, she's not year one, but we awarded her the COVID year actually. Wow. So we had to do it on Instagram Live, and she was such a great sport about it. Wi-Fi dropping, and she was just still there. Her mom, they was there, like they were just happy about that, and she was like, "Wow, like I was, you know, speaking an award into existence, and obviously she won, you know, the big time, but she was like, this feels big to me too, though. She's like, this is from my peers, like, and they don't even they always say." I didn't think people were paying attention like that. Even though they got all these followers they know, or the ones who don't have to follow. Either way it goes, they just like, once you sit there and be like, once I send out that message, like, hey, you're winning this award this year, and I break it all down, what this is about, and they be like, wow, like, okay. Beautiful. So they get that same feeling. Super dope. So I feel like, I'm that guy who does that, but we want to highlight them consistently, like, Paris has been in movies since then, commercials. Yeah. And I like to get on, you know, the page and just like whether it's just reposting what they got going on, but just showing that growth. Like, look who we awarded year one, and look what they're doing still now. That's why they got that award, not because they my friends. Like, you see it right here. This is what they do.
Yeah, you see the fruits of it. I love that. And like for you, for young people coming up who want to follow your footsteps and in all the roles that you play, like what advice would you give young people who are coming up next?
You have to decide. You got to know yourself too. Know yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, because that's going to be instrumental in your growth or your stagnation. Like you're only going to go as far as you think you can go. That's number one. So you have to think it. The stuff I got written down that I want to do, like if you read it, you probably look at me like, okay, have fun, good try. You know, I hope the best for you. Yeah. But it looks crazy. It looks like, come on, bro. Like, you're going to have to live to 100 years to do all this. Mm-hmm. But that's that other voice that's that doubt. Mm-hmm. So that's the other side of it. Don't doubt. If you're going to doubt it, don't even talk about it.
Come on.
Don't talk about it. If you have any doubt, don't try to, because, you know, people tell you what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm intentional about what I say and when I say it, because it's like, I'm going to hold myself to that. Yeah. So I want to make sure, like, hold on, let me make sure I'm saying what I'm really, really going to do. Absolutely. Because I don't just be talking to sound good. So don't do that. Don't just talk about it. Really sit down, write it out. Like, no, what am I really connected to? Yeah. Like, what do I really, if I'm going next month or whatever the case may be, like, you got to think about this. Like, whenever you leave, what do you want people to remember about you? What do you want people to say you did or you tried to do or your mission was? Like, that's what's going to happen anyway. Yeah. People are going to talk about what you did and whatever the case may be. So decide on what it is you want the narrative to be when you're gone. And so if that's working a job, I tell people too, like, don't feel like, because it's easy to be independent these days. Yes. And as far as your career goes, but don't feel you can get a job. You can work a job. Like, you know, that's not the end of the world. It's just some of us feel like I said earlier, I don't want my destiny or my livelihood to be in. If I'm gonna go down, it's gonna be because of what I did wrong or didn't do, enough of. Like, I'm willing to stand on that. Like, I can accept that. But for that rug to be moved from up under me, like, that's like, you know, even then though, I take accountability. Mm-hmm. It's like you have some part in that too, though. Absolutely. Whether it's because you allowed, you worked for a company who you know was kind of actually trash, but you know, out of necessity, you needed to get a job. But you just got to decide. It don't have to be entrepreneurship. It don't have to be famous. Yeah. It don't have to be those things. Just what do you want for yourself, for your family, for your kids, and stand on that. Write that down. Remind yourself about it every day. It's an everyday thing.
It really is.
Because I don't get it right all the time. Like, most of the time I don't. That's the other part of this. Mm-hmm. You're going to probably fail more. Fail is just, you know, I say, like, you know, you figure out ways that it won't work. You just, it's all these ways lessons, that it's, you learning from these things, but don't be afraid of it though. That's just, it come with it. Regardless of what you do, it's going to be moments that are unfavorable and then moments where you champion yourself. But it's probably going to be more moments of stress. More moments of stress. So you got to commit to that and be like, all right, this is what I'm getting myself into. Is it worth it to me? Like, at the end of the day, when I'm going, if people can say like, well, man, Scoop shot for the star. He was trying to do it up. Like, I'm cool with that. So you just got to decide. I say that. Decide and get around the people. Don't be afraid to be around people you not normally around. Yeah. You got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's probably the biggest lesson. Like, you're going to be uncomfortable. We're in the world. We see what's going on. There's different. It's a different time. It's not things that used to be kind of like hidden or not as much in the front. Now you may be side by side with people who think differently. You know, sexual orientation is a big conversation. Mental health are the big conversations right now. And it's like, we have to all learn how to navigate and respect everyone's space.
Absolutely.
But then because you need people, you do need people, you need help. So don't close off people because you don't necessarily see them as the same as you. What do you guys have in common that you can come to a common ground and be like, all right, this is for the best of what we have going on, or this is for the culture. You know what I mean? Like, let's focus on that. Like, all these things that separate us is more that bring us together. But we gotta stop looking at all the distractions. It's a lot of distractions. So again, it's tough. It's an everyday thing. But try your best to just stand on what you say you're gonna do. And go for it. And get around the people that agree with you and want to help you see that through. That's gonna be very important. Shout out to people who helping me. My sister is a big help. This her hat too, by the way.
Hey.
Black Vibes Matter, Melt by Millie. It's a candle company. She does have merch. You know,
beautiful.
She has a podcast herself. She's
come
on for the sneakerheads. You know what I mean?
Come on now.
Yeah, Signature Souls is the name of it. I named it, by the way.
Hey, hey, we can collaborate too.
Yeah, for sure. They doing dope things. Shout out to Soul Brother Steph is what he go by. My sister is a big help. MJ is a big help. Man, you're a big help. Like, just talking to you, like, I can't always act on what you tell me, but I'm like, okay, I remember she said that. When I'm in a position to do that part, I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? I just love being able to, like, the people who answer the phone, like, those are important people because I learn from you all. And again, you may not think that, oh, I had to talk to him and he didn't even do nothing he said he was going to. Trust me, I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I just so much other things. I do so much in my mind, and so when I try to get it out to y'all, it's like it takes time. It takes way more time than it's kind of like preparing. I think somebody just said, man, I worked 2 years. It was a runner. I forgot his name, a track guy. But he was like, man, I trained for this for a year to run for 9 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's really the story of my life. It's like, man, I'm always thinking about what needs to be done. And then when you get the finished product, it's like a 3-hour or 4-hour event.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm exhausted from that. That's why I be taking like time off social media after events, because it's like all that promotion and all that, like,
gotta reset, tough. Y'all. There's nothing wrong
with
that.
But this is what I'm in it to win it, so I'm trying to figure it out every day.
Too.
So that's what I tell the youth, man. Like, just go for it, man. Don't worry about it. You're gonna get more praise for trying something than not. Like, at least you tried something. And you can just sit back and let life happen to you.
Yeah, and y'all, I hope y'all taking notes, because this is sound advice, y'all. Trust and believe me. Like, same advice he's saying, like, that's what I stand on too. Definitely make a decision and work hard, and you know, and you doing it. And I'm so happy that you came on the show today.
Yes,
I'm super proud of you.
Dope.
You're doing amazing things.
Thank you.
And I know that you're going to do even more things in the future. So let everybody know where they can find you, your website, whatever, all links. Let's go.
Yeah. Man, Instagram, you know you can find us, cocoaawards, COCOA.awards. You can find me, Shoot by Scoop, SHOOTBYSCOOP.
Let's go.
And I do have that's another thing. I need help with my website. So, you know what I mean?
I'll be helping y'all.
I have it. I've been having it for years, and it's really difficult because it's like everybody goes to Instagram.
We're going to get you together, though.
But, you know, I want to really look like I want to
He
look
will,
like
y'all. Make sure y'all follow him. I'm going to tag him on everything. Trust and believe that. Tag him on everything. But if you want to follow the show, hope you follow the show. Like, subscribe, and share us at Keys to the Culture Podcast on all platforms. Stream us on all platforms. If you want to follow me, because I'm cute, at I am Maisha on everything. So make sure you like, subscribe, share. Watch this award, share with your favorite people, and let's go. See you until next time. Bye.